Re-recorded from Kyrgyzstan, it's Malignant Bear, featuring me, JD Grossmitz. Hello everyone, we're taking another look today at Diablo 4. We're recording this at the very end of the early access period, which I've been playing all weekend. Wanted to get to max level and experience some of the endgame before making anything on it, and I figured the servers are going to be a dumpster fire for the first couple days of the actual launch, so I want to get something out and check it out. I will say right away, I have plenty of issues with Blizzard in the modern era, as lots of people do, but I think this is a solid game. They have a very good foundation here. It is not without issues, which we're going to talk about, but now that I've gotten to the end game and experienced a little bit of everything that it has to offer, I wanted to put out a video and talk about it a little more. So we put out a video before talking about the beta of it, my thoughts on that, but we're here in the actual end game of the full release. So I want to get into the positives first and try to keep this pretty brief. 10 out of 10 for audio and visuals. Blizzard has never had issues with that, despite other things that they struggle with sometimes. This game looks and sounds and feels like Diablo should every single step of the way, and should be absolutely applauded for that. I picked this location to start the video off with for good reason. This looks and sounds and feels like Diablo. This is an end game area in the province of Hazewar, and we can see the Tree of Whispers here, and it has a whole bunch of talking heads attached to it and everything, and this is a major plot point that I won't spoil. And this is also an end game thing where you can collect basically this game's versions of overworld events. You go and do them, and then once you get 10 of them, you bring them here and you get some rewards. So here we see a random guy who's just chilling here. But his name is actually Chillin', how appropriate. But I mean, the game looks like you would want Diablo 2. It runs pretty well as well. Struggling a little bit while it's being captured, I will say, but for the most part, runs very well and looks and sounds good. The in-game cinematics and CGI are all excellent. There is one cinematic, especially towards the very end of the campaign. It's almost 10 minutes long, it might even be longer. It's just phenomenal. Amazing job on that. Blizzard cinematic team has always been good about that. And even the in-engine ones, there was a couple times where I had to stop and think whether or not it was in-engine or CGI, because it zooms in and it seems to bump it up to 4K in the background, and looks and sounds great. So gameplay-wise, pretty solid. Pleasantly surprised by that. I had some issues with the skill tree as I was leveling and in the early access, but now I understand it a bit better and have more of an appreciation for what they're going for. Although looking at the skill tree gets me into one of the other issues with the game, or the first issue that we're going to talk about, which is the UI. The UI is apparently a dying art, and this UI is just, it's messy and bad. Not just here, but in some other places as well, unfortunately. But the skill tree itself, now that I've seen it, I have all the skill points and everything, and gotten the Paragon board and started unlocking those, I understand what they're going for. First and foremost, I can say to anybody who's playing this game or thinking about it, putting extra points in your skills, your primary skills, is a waste. It's a trap. Don't do it. Instead, what you should be doing is this, where you just put one rank in to get the skill, and then of course you get the modifiers. The vast majority of your points should be going into your passives, because these are the things that fundamentally alter your entire build. Putting an extra skill point, for example, into Heartseeker, one of my basic skills, is increasing the damage by roughly 2%, which is next to nothing, as opposed to I could put 1 point into Stutter Step if it wasn't maxed out, and would give me a massive bonus to my speed, so 5% bonus to my move speed, all the time for any of my skills. You're going to want to do things like that. That was what I was missing the first time in. And then items are going to give you these extra bonuses. Once you get to the end game and you have all of the skill points unlocked, and you're max level, you get the Paragon board. And there's a whole bunch of these, actually. And I didn't understand this seeing it until I actually got to play it. So once you hit level 50, you start getting Paragon points, and you can put those into these little nodes that are more passives, and some of them have super benefits here, for example. So this is plus 10% damage to just everything. Everything that I'm doing, I get plus 10% damage. And then if I have more intelligence, which you can see all your stats over there on the left, it gets even better. And every board also has a glyph slot, so you can find these in the world. You have a couple unlocked to start with, but you can put these glyphs into the board, and they give some other massive bonuses. And this is just the starter board. There is other ones as well. You can see what you might be picking from later on, so you have to finish a board completely to get to the next one. And then you can see some of the extra nodes and things in there, and whatever the legendary node is in the middle that's going to give you a massive bonus. These are build defining and really help alleviate some of the issues with the skill tree. I've seen a lot of people complaining about resource generation in the game. I do think it is a little low, especially while you're leveling, and that is with every class. Rogue especially seems to struggle with it because none of their core skills actually or basic skills rather, actually generate energy, except for this one gives you some increased energy regen. It gets better as you get more skills, and as you get more items and more Paragon things. Leveling is just a slog. There's no way about that. Or no other way about that, I should say. But once you start to get, again, more of the kind of build-defining things, it gets a lot better. I'm pretty much never worrying about energy now. And you can see a lot of the things with your build is taken up by your gear. Legendary items drop pretty frequently. Not as frequently as they did in the beta, but there's still tons of them out there. And these all have these effects that you have, that you can imprint on other gear as well, and they can give you some nice bonuses. So for example, this one, every time I damage an elite, I get a barrier. I heal when I'm close to things, which is kind of pointless for me because I'm a marksman, but still. Basic skills gain attack speed. I gain armor when I deal damage. When I crit, I move faster. Basic skills are faster. You can see where I'm going with this. There is also unique items as well. And I found this one pretty early on when I got to World Tier 3. My Rain of Arrows is always imbued with all imbuements at once, regardless of how many points I may or may not have in them, but it gives me +2 to all imbuement skills. So again, I don't have to put points in imbuement, it just automatically does it for me, which is pretty cool. So again, these can completely redefine your build and what you're going for, and you can keep them around and use them again and again. Every time you find a legendary, you can extract the aspect from it, and then you get to reuse this one time. So if I was to put this aspect on another item, I would get it again, but then I can't extract it one more time. But still, it's kind of a nice way to be like, oh, I don't need this ring anymore. I'm going to extract this, put it on something better, and then keep on going. But some of these things are really crazy. Like I found this one very early on. Critical strikes with marksman skills have a 50% chance to grant a free Dark Shroud Shadow. And because of that, I put points into Dark Shroud, and I got a whole bunch of bonuses from that, and that was really nice while I was leveling. But there's a lot you can do here, and it's pretty easy to respec and change things around, especially, again, once you start putting points into the passives rather than the actual main core skills here. Of course, every class is going to be very different, though. Every class has different specialties, and there is plenty of variation just within the 5 classes that we have to begin with. There is some balance issues for sure. That is definitely one of the problems with the game. I knew there would be. Anybody who is shocked by that, I don't know what you were expecting. There is for sure some balance problems, but they're working on them pretty quickly. My only fear is they seem to be nerfing things rather than kind of bringing other things up to baseline. Like Sorceress, for example, some of their passives and nodes and things are just objectively bad. Like, they're just mathematically bad. And it'll give you like a 5% increase to your barrier duration, except barrier only lasts 6 seconds. So 5% of 6 seconds is essentially nothing. There's some kind of weird ones like that I would rather they bring those up rather than just nerfing the hell out of things that are actually good. But they'll get there. I'm not super worried about that. The point being with all this, I think they have a very solid foundation with the core things of the combat, the looks and feel, and the optimization of the game and everything, and the itemization that they can really do some good things and some interesting things with. Outside of that, the world map, let's talk about that. This game is massive, and they did a really good job with this as well. Obviously, I've explored the entire world. I've gotten every altar of Lilith, every waypoint, every stronghold. I'm working on dungeons and quests now, which is one thing that I will say is a negative about this system. There's no way to track which quests you've already done, which sucks because I'm missing 5 quests in the Fractured Peaks, and I've looked at every guide that I can find. I can't figure out what 5 those are. We'll get them eventually, but worth pointing out. Speaking of quests, the writing in this game, the campaign, it's pretty good, for the most part. There's 2 major issues with it. One is the story in Hazor, the province I'm in now. It's a little weird. It seemingly ignores the entire rest of the plot. Characters don't act properly. It's very strange. It feels like it was written by just another team entirely. And then the epilogue of the game is very awkward as well. The actual ending isn't half bad. I've some doubts that they did the right thing, but the epilogue then is just very obvious, you know, sequel, expansion bait, whatever you want to call it. So, the voice acting is also solid throughout. Pretty much every every character we talk to, even random NPCs, are all voiced, and they're all pretty good. No complaints there. Campaign takes a while to get through though, and you don't get your mount until later on in it, which can be a little disappointing given how big the map is. Although not as disappointing as the mount itself. So here's the mount. Once you're on the mount, you have the little bar of your horse getting scared. If it gets scared enough, you get kicked off it immediately, or if you take too much damage. You can move a little faster. You have an ability on your mount where it dismounts you and immediately does a bunch of damage. Every class has a different one. You can just jump off regularly. There is a cooldown to doing that. And if the mount dies, the cooldown is even longer. It's like 30 seconds. The mount controls very awkwardly. This is, for lack of a better comparison, this is an Elder Scrolls mount. Where... I don't know what my character said what to. It's an Elder Scrolls mount, though, where it's really not much faster than walking. It controls very awkwardly, and it gets stuck on things constantly. I was so excited to get to it and unlock it, and all that, and then it ended up being very lackluster, to the point where once I've gotten everything, now that I have all the Altars of Lilith, so I'm not going to be exploring as much, I probably won't be using it too much. You can't interact with things while you're on it, which is good. But again, it's really nothing special. And of course you can see I have a fancy mount skin. They're going to be selling these in the store, so let's talk about the store. Obviously, this is going to be the big thing that people are going to talk about with this. This game has a cash shop. That's just, unfortunately, the way of the industry nowadays, is that there's stuff like this. It's terrible because there's some cool things in here. They're not cool for the price, though. This Wraithlord skin, 2,800 coins or whatever, is $25. So $25 for this one set of gear, and it's just cosmetics again. It doesn't give you anything. So their prices are pretty terrible, and it's on a rotating thing, so of course they're going to get you with FOMO. By the time the game is out, like, I don't know when these are going to rerun. Who knows? They might not. But yeah.
Sound selection.
Again, they look pretty neat. Like, this is a cool skin for sure. I don't think it's $25 cool. If this was actual microtransactions, you know, this was like $5, then yeah, I might think about it. But at 25, that's like several indie games. That said, I am okay with the shop as long as it stays just cosmetics. And so far, that's all that it is cosmetics. So I am a little worried, though, because some of the other issues this game has is quality of life. So there is no overlay map. It's just the big map. That's pretty crappy. If we go back to town, go back to Kyovashad. If we go back to town and look at the wardrobe and want to change our looks and things, you can modify your tattoos at any point in time. Can't get a haircut, though. I am thinking that's probably going to be a microtransaction, which is really scummy. But this is all you can change appearance-wise. That's it. No haircut options, no... You can change jewelry at least. But yeah, no hair, anything like that. No face, no eyes. You better be satisfied when you've made your character. There's headstones as well, which is kind of silly, because they're only up for a couple seconds. But they'll sell those. But thankfully, with the shop, all the gear in the game that you can find naturally, like this is... I still have a couple to find, obviously, looks pretty good. There's plenty of variation in what you can look like, and this gear is all very easy to find. I am a little concerned that they're going to add more dyes to the shop as well, because right now there's not a whole lot. Only 9. And they could be a little bit better. But yeah, I'm worried that we're going to get some quality of life things and UI improvements and stuff as microtransactions. I could absolutely see them selling the overlay map. Hopefully they don't, because that would be really scummy, but I'm a little worried about that. But here on the map, looking at it a little bit more, we can see this is the Grim Favors thing, like I was talking about, that you have to do these. They spawn randomly, and they give you a little area to go to, and you go and do these. And once you get the 10 of these Grim Favors from doing stuff here, then that's when you get to go back to the tree and get some of those nice bonuses. And that is also one of the ways that you can get keys to do nightmare dungeons, which is kind of the more endgame thing. And then there's also, it's not on the map right now, sometimes entire regions get corrupted, and there's some extra modifiers and benefits there. These red regions here are PvP zones. There are PvP objectives and things, and quests and achievements and all that. And it's optional. You have to choose whether or not you want to flag in these zones, which I think is kind of neat. So you can go in, and there's like 1 or 2 side quests in each of them. So if you just want to kind of feel them out, get these Altars of Lilith real quick and all that. Or if you have some other quests here, you can do those very quickly and easily and not have to worry about actually flagging up and getting killed, because, again, balance is going to be a nightmare in this game. Trying to think what else. Capstone dungeons are kind of neat. You have to do a big dungeon to increase your world level. And right now we are world level 3. As I assume most people are. There's probably a few more that have, or sorry, world tier. There's probably some people who've already gotten to Torment, but it's recommended to do that. You have to be level 70 or higher, and you get some new items out of that. I will say that if you're watching this and you're starting out playing or interested in playing, when you're leveling the first time, pick one character and focus on it, and just beeline the campaign, because you cannot unlock Nightmare until you hit level 50 and finish the campaign. So make sure you do that. The first 2 world levels stop scaling at 50. So if you hit 50, then XP basically just grinds to a halt in them. So you want to make sure you finish the campaign so that you can start World Tier 3 pretty much immediately. Also, when you're leveling, World Tier 2 is a complete trap. The increase in difficulty is not worth the increase in rewards, not even remotely. It is not an increase in items that you get, it's just a slight increase in experience and gold, which are both pretty garbage when you're leveling. Go with World Tier 1 because the time to kill is so much faster that it makes up for that anyways, and the amount of gold you're getting sub 50 from killing stuff is garbage anyways. I suspect this is built entirely for people leveling alts, because as you go through the world and you unlock more things, you get some account-wide bonuses. So you get extra skill points and potion capacity for every single character on your account, which is pretty cool. The lame thing is some of these other things aren't shared, which is another kind of quality of life issue that this game has. If I log onto an alt, I'm not going to just because switching around would be awkward, but if I log onto an alt, they would have these bottom row bonuses, any that I found on this character, or any character for that matter. They don't have any of these other things, though. So they can go in and get all of the waypoints, all the strongholds and things again to get these top row bonuses. And it's just kind of odd. Blizzard has had issues with that in some of their previous games where quality of life for alts is lacking at best. And they've done it again here, where you share all sorts of things, like all of your resources are shared, which is pretty cool. You can unlock different aspects by doing some of the dungeons, and those are all shared across your account, which is really cool. But then other just basic things are not. And I think it's going to make leveling alts really tedious, even if you are funneling them gear and other things. Thankfully, the Altars of Lilith bonuses are shared across accounts, so you get a whole bunch of passive stats that way. But you're still encouraged to go out and just find them in the world to get the XP and renown to get some of these other things. So like if I want, 25,000 gold, it's not really a whole lot. But if I really want that and need that, I'm going to have to go through and do all this stuff on all of my alts, which is kind of a pain. Like if I make a new alt right now, the only thing they're going to have on the map is Kyovashad. That's where they spawn in. And then they get waypoints to the main cities in every zone, but that's it. It's just kind of a baffling decision. Honestly, they should just give them the entire map, or just make this all account-wide, so that, if I found this Altar of Lilith on my Rogue, and that one on my Sorcerer, it's all done, it's all there. Just kind of weird little things like that, I think, is holding this game back. That said, those are all things they can fix, I think. And hopefully they will. The key takeaway here, though, is that this game has a very solid foundation. Again, looks and sounds and visuals and all that are very good. I had a little bit of a hiccup at one point as far as the servers on Saturday when everybody did. And there's sometimes some rubber banding when you're leaving towns. That's pretty much it. Again, game is stable on all fronts. I'm sure it won't be once the servers actually open. But I think they nailed the hard parts here. And they're just going to have to do the other parts pretty soon. So, again, solid foundation for them to build off of. I'm just hoping they can get some of those other parts right. And that they don't really screw it up by putting those in the cash shop and all that. So, let's see. Once you get to higher world tiers, and you start to get more interesting enemies that have different affixes on them, and benefits and things like that, you have to think a little bit more about what you're doing. I know every rogue right now is going the cutthroat build, because it's a little broken. I don't know. I personally wanted to be a Boazon again, so. But again, there's enough variety in the classes and things that they have in the builds. You can do a whole bunch of things. Oh my god. Some enemies need nerfed. That attack from the Wraiths comes out pretty much instantly and does just a boatload of damage. The good thing is they can only seem to do it once. So.
I need more time.
But again, balance issues, natural for a game like this. Sacred items are a thing that you get starting in World Tier 3. And once I kill all these, we'll look at those. It's very good, that's what I was looking for. So far I only have one sacred item and it's a unique, so that makes it a little awkward. So uniques, you cannot extract the power from. These are like really special build defining things. And I think they pretty much, or no, they don't always roll max. But again, it's a very special, unique power that doesn't have an attribute range like these do. Sacred items are like kind of tier 2 items, where this is still a chest piece, it's still rare, but because it's sacred, it has higher stat rolls by default. So you can get better stats from that. But again, you can imprint things on it, so if I wanted to, I could extract this, put the power on this, and have a much higher level chess piece here. I do think that the stat system is a little bloated. There's potentially too much going on here, which makes looking at items very quickly kind of a pain. But again, there's balance issues and things that they can do with that. There's a whole bunch of currencies. They're all account-wide, and they're stored in here, which is good. All these little materials used for crafting. One other quality of life thing that I'm super worried they're going to charge for, more than anything else, is gems just sit in your inventory. There could very easily be another slot here, Blizzard, that is just for gems. And could also be account-wide. Gems are not particularly good in this one, because they're very niche. You know, plus 9% critical strike damage to vulnerable enemies. So you can crit a little harder if you crit, if you're attacking something that's vulnerable. Not the best. There's some like clear winners of like, okay, yeah, my basic skills are going to do more damage, or I'm going to have more health, or I need specific resists. But for the most part, gems are pretty ignorable. And of course, there's no runes or anything. This could come later, who knows? But yeah, I think they did a good job with this. Part of me really wanted them not to. I'll be honest. It would, had they just botched this completely, I think I would have been fine with that. Ooh, should probably do that one. Oh, it's a world boss. Ooh, we'll definitely have to do that. I'm gonna head down there and do that, but it doesn't spawn for 25 minutes. I can't kill that much time. But yeah, no, they did a solid job with this. And as much as I loathe games as a service and live service games and all that, I think looter games like this are one where you can do that correctly. Like, I have all sorts of issues with Destiny, but it gives them a good excuse to constantly add content, and they can do the thing where like, oh yeah, here's this planet that you heard of, you know, once or twice in the lore, and now we're going there. They can do that with this very easily, because all the side quests and the main quest as well left all these little breadcrumbs for things around of other plot points and things that are happening or could be happening, which I think is really cool. They have a lot of potential places to take this and things to do with it, and I'm excited to see what they do with it in the future. So the biggest issues, as we're wrapping up here, is quality of life and UI. Things that hopefully they can fix. We'll see if they actually do. And balance, which they absolutely can and will do. They will fix that. Again, lots of people seem confused at the fact that this game isn't perfectly balanced. No game is at launch. And if it is, it's because the devs have a lot less to work with. Balance is a thing that takes time, and it takes feedback and more players looking at things and all that. This was never going to be a perfect game on launch, at least in that front. So again, there's lots of good things here. I'm hoping to see them build on this solid foundation that they have and do something nice with it. I don't know that we'll be streaming it. Definitely not this week again, because I think servers are going to be a mess. But maybe at some point show off a little bit more of it. If you're looking for more combat, I know I barely fought anything, just kind of wandered around and talked. There's plenty of people that are doing much more exciting things with way more interesting builds than mine, so I would highly recommend checking some of them out. I just wanted to put my thoughts out on this, because again, we're not going to be able to stream it tonight like I wanted to, because servers are going to be opening, and I doubt they'll be solid for that. But yeah, Diablo 4. Worth checking out if you like the franchise, definitely. Or if you just like action RPGs, looter games, whatever. I think it's pretty good. You could do way worse in the genre as of right now. But yeah, I'm enjoying it, and I hope you enjoyed this quick look at it. And until next time, have a good one.